Hey everybody, I'm excited to say that I've got a brand new skateboard and an old school one at that. I've been skateboarding for most of my life, at least as far as I can remember. My sister growing up, she had one of those roller derby, kind of a yellow, kind of banana board style skateboard back in the day. And she passed that down to me, and I used to ride that around in the basement and do tic-tacs and whatnot. And then sometime around the 6th grade, I got my first kind of pro quality board, the first wide board, and that was a Vision Gator. And then I was hooked after that all through high school. And then around 20 years ago, they built a really nice skate park not that far from me. And I've been going up there off and on for the last 20 years. About 10 years ago or so, I broke my foot skateboarding. And then the next year, I broke my wrist. So I haven't been skating as much lately, but it's been a little while. This past winter, I've really gotten the itch to get back to the skate park. I've been skating up there once a week for the last few weeks and really thinking about how much fun I used to have on these old school decks, and thought it'd be fun just to kind of revisit that along with the nostalgia of all the bikes and toys and everything else I've been exploring lately. So yeah, I built up a Steve Saiz Powell Peralta deck. So I'll share a few specs of it with you and kind of why I went with it. And then maybe a little bit of history just for the nostalgia's sake about kind of my experiences skateboarding. And then we're just going to head right up to the skate park. You can see this is fresh. I have not ridden it yet. We're going to take it up to the skate park and see how it handles. So this is Steve Saiz. He was part of the Powell Peralta team, part of the Bones Brigade. Many of us who were super into skateboarding in the 80s, we were kind of, our lives were centered around that video, The Search for Animal Chin, maybe Bones Brigade, Future Primitive, and then Public Domain after that. And so as we moved into the later in the 80s, street skateboarding started to get more and more common. And the Bones Brigade, the original team, they had Tommy Guerrro, who was the main street skater. And most of the others besides like Rodney Mullen, they were all vert skaters. So you had Tony Hawk and Lance Mountain and Steve Caballero and Mike McGill. And then my understanding, I believe that Mike Vallely was the first, or at least the next pro skater. So he was the second skater after Tommy Guerrero. And then they brought on Ray Barbee, who's one of my all-time favorite skaters. I love that guy. He's also an amazing guitarist still today, still making music. Ray Barbee is amazing. And then after Ray Barbee, they brought on Steve Saiz as the next pro. And for me and my age group, we really connected with that public domain kind of era. And in that video, there's a scene, I think it was called like the Rubber Boys or something like that, and had the iconic background music from Chuck Treese, from Mick Rad. And in that scene, Ray Barbee and Steve Saiz and Chet Thomas and Eric Sanderson, they are all street skating. They're doing all kinds of amazing tricks, especially Ray Barbee, all these variations on the no complies in there. And I know my buddies and I, we were all really inspired by that. I never had one of these back in the day, but I always admired them. And then while I was doing my research recently to try and pick out what old school shape I wanted to go with today, this one's got a 15-inch wheelbase, which is a little bit longer. And I find that the older I get, I like a longer wheelbase. It's 10 inches wide at the widest spots. It's 30, I think it was like 30.8 inches, 30.8 inches long. And it had about a 4.5-inch nose. And that was a little bit longer than some of the other models like the Mike Vallely deck. And I figured, I know back in the day, people had noses that were even shorter. But since this is a spoon and it doesn't really not have any upturn at all, I figured I'd like a little bit of a longer nose. So that's why I went with this deck, the longer wheelbase and the little bit longer of a nose. I got a new set of wheels to go with the deck too. And these are the new Powell Peralta Dragon Formula wheels. And this particular set is in the old 80s wrap bone shape and size. They're 60 millimeter. And I went with these because most of the wheels I've been skating in the last 10 years or so, they've been a bit narrower and a smaller diameter. And so yeah, these are 60 millimeters and kind of in the shape of the old 80s style. So I figured I got to go with the 80s style wheels. But what I'm stoked about is that their 93A durometer, which is pretty soft, but their new formula makes them feel like they're harder. They say they roll like they're a 101 in the skate park. I've been skating Bones SPFs for a long time, and I love those wheels. But I'm also kind of like really excited about something that's a little bit softer and smoother. And so I couldn't remember all of their marketing spiel on these things, but it says Dragon's incredible 78 rebound rolls like a 101A in parks and like an 85A on streets. Most surprisingly of all, Dragon Formula slides like a 99A and grips like a 93A when you need it. dragons will put a long-lasting smile on your face. So that sounds amazing to me. I like smiling, so let's we'll take this up to the skate park in a little bit, and we'll see how it goes and if it puts a smile or not. I went with Indy 159s. These are the trucks I've been skating probably for 10 years now, and I usually ride them on around a 9-inch, maybe 8 3/4 inch board. They still got a lot of life in them. They're getting some pretty good grooves on opposite corners from when I lock into the coping at the skate park, but figured might as well stick with those, save a few bucks. Got some 1/2-inch risers. I do have a set of new Bones bushings that I'll probably put in there. And then in the back, I just went with the kind of the classic old school grip tape job. And so, yeah, I'm really excited. This kind of really brings me back to the skateboarding that I used to remember when I was, in middle school and the beginning of high school. And so I'm really excited to get this up to the skate park and check it out. Before we head up to the skate park, I wanted to take just a couple minutes and share a little bit of some of my skateboarding experiences with you. So I've got a few pictures here. Some of them are kind of funny and some are kind of cool. And I thought, if you were into skateboarding in the 80s or 90s, you might relate to some of these. But this this picture here was taken in Alton, Illinois, probably in like 1985 or 1986. It was a clear plexiglass ramp. But this was the first time I saw like really legit skateboarding and really got inspired by that. And then my buddies and I, we decided we were going to make a little ramp. And so we looked into our dad's like scrap wood piles, and we decided we were going to build a ramp. And so here's the ramp there. It kind of looks like a mini ramp. We didn't really know what we were doing. We had no plans. Obviously, there's nowhere near enough flat bottom in here, but this was our first taste of skateboarding. We really didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't really do many tricks, but we learned how to do pumping and 180s and maybe little axle pivots and whatnot. And there's me, my buddies and me. This was before I got my first, that Vision Gator, my very first skateboard. I was borrowing one of my buddies. He had like a department store, Veriflex or something like that. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. I just love this photo of our like whatever helmets and pads, like football pads and stuff we could find to protect ourselves. And then not too long after that, my family, we moved from Illinois over to Virginia. And so then I got really into skateboarding over there. It was a little bit more of a scene. In the Midwest, skateboarding really wasn't that popular then. But in Virginia, it was really popular. And going back to the Bones Brigade, if you guys remember the Bones Brigade video 2, Future Primitive, and in part of that, they were at Mount Trashmore, and there was some really fun scenes with that guy, like kind of narrating it. And then at the end, he's kind of like, hey, Mom,
keep the damn raccoon out of my truck, please.
I just thought that was funny. But yeah, so I lived maybe an hour and a half from Virginia Beach. And the summers, my mom would take me and my buddies there, and we would skateboard quite a bit. And before they had modern mini ramps, they had this like, I don't know what you call it. It's like a mini vert ramp. It was probably like maybe 6 or 8 feet tall on this side, and the other side went up to like 10 feet, and it was like a more mellow transition. But I guess this was created way before modern mini ramps. A couple of years later, they tore this down and put like, I don't know if it was 12 or 16 foot wide, just a more modern mini ramp. And that's where I really learned most of my mini ramp skating. I was on the ramp that replaced this. But this one was a lot of fun. We had fun at Mount Trashmore back in the day. And then probably a year or two after that, in Virginia Beach, there was a surf shop and skate shop called WRV. And they brought the Bones Brigade. Bones Brigade were on tour, and we got to see a skate demo and got to interact with some of the skaters. So there's my mom took this picture of me with Tommy Guerrero. He was super friendly and super fun guy, and he'd make faces for people when they were taking the photos. And then I believe I got a picture with Rodney Mullen, but I don't know what happened to it. But here's one. I think maybe my mom snapped this picture, and he kind of looked at her and gave her a smile before he moved on. Rodney Mullen was insane watching him do those tricks. It was just like in any video that you've seen. Like he nailed he rarely made any mistakes, and everybody was just so into it. And I imagine half the crowd, just like me, we got home and then we went and ordered a Rodney Mullen deck and thought we were going to be the next freestyler. And then you get the deck and realize, this is a little bit harder than he makes it look. But yeah, Rodney Mullen, that was amazing. And then they were giving out doing autographs and sticker tosses and all that. They had this big mini ramp also up there that they were, Tommy Guerrero. Ray Barbee was there too, and they were skating that mini ramp. I wish I had a camcorder back in the day, but I always thought it was funny in this picture. There's somebody like handing up their crutch to get him to autograph it, and I kind of wonder, whatever happened to that crutch, and if the guy kept it, because that would be pretty awesome to have a Tommy Guerrero autographed crutch. And then when I was up there, so I got my autographs on some of these Powell Peralta kind of, I don't know, you call them promo cards. And I don't know how I ended up getting Rodney Mullen's autograph on the Ray Barbee card. And then I got Tommy Guerrero and Ray Barbee on the Jim Thiebaud card. But either way, these are some of my most prized possessions. I got these autographs in person with them standing right in front of me and, having a little eye contact. They were all so friendly, so laid back and really cool. I've got hundreds of photos from back in the day, but one last one to share because this one's really fun and special to me and great memories. But this was 1989, about the same era that this board would have came out. And this was at the elementary school where my buddies and I like to do a lot of skating. And out back, they would have a stack of milk crates from the kids getting their milk during the day. And it was kind of like your rite of passage when you could ollie over a milk crate. We would end up you could ollie over 2 of them lengthwise or whatnot. But when you were able to ollie a milk crate, you were kind of in and accepted by the group. And so this is just kind of a fun memory for me. I was never like the greatest skater by any means, but I could ollie pretty well. I could do different ollie grabs and kick flips and all the different no comply variations and stuff. And eventually got into mini ramp skating back in the day. Could do all those basics tricks. Now I'm so out of shape I could barely maybe ollie over a regular skateboard just laying on the ground. It's been quite a few years since I've landed a kick flip, just again because my knees just can't take it. But I can still flow around the bowls at the skate park pretty well without it causing me too much trouble. So I'm excited to get back up there. So let's take this board. We'll check out how these wheels work. Are they going to be too soft for the skate park, the smooth terrain? Or are they still going to be fast? And then what's it going to be like skating this board, especially without that nose? I hope my foot doesn't want to slide up too far up front. But yeah, I'm excited. Let's pack up the car and we'll head up there right now. All right, so here we are up at the skate park. I've been skating here for about 20 years now. It's been a good 5 years since I've skated here regularly, and I love this section. This is the baby bowl, and we call it adult swim and the kiddie pool when none of the scooter kids are around. So luckily, not a lot of kids, so I'm gonna give it a shot. This is the first run in the bowl on the new board. All right. Whoa. All right, it feels weird for sure. So I'm really out of shape. It's been a long time since I've really skated much, and so I'm gonna call it a day. But I am excited to say that these wheels, the propaganda said that they'll leave a smile on your face, and definitely I've been smiling. This deck is definitely awesome. It's gonna take a little bit getting used to a big board again. The wheels are like weird. They're fast and slow at the same time, depending on kind of where you're at in the bowl. But I'm excited, and I'm definitely gonna be coming back up here a lot more. All right, bye-bye.